Mellow bass screaming, rubber burns on black. Engines roaring thunder, ain't no turning back. Beast make a friction, sparks light the night. Track of war zones, adrenaline takes flight. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Rebels on my six, but my grip don't waver. Drafting wind sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fears compete. Rivals on my six, but my grit don't waver. Trapped in wind sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fears compete. Tires grip tight, flames dance on steel. Spins and skins twist, every moment surreal. Checker flag whispers, a siren's call. Only one metalhead lies above it all. Turbocharged fury on straights we fly. Nitrous things pumping, we touch the sky. Back grandstands buzz, saying our name. Each lap we caught ignites the game's flame. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Wah! Mellow bass screaming, rubber burns on black. Engines roaring thunder, ain't no turning back. Beast make a friction, sparks light the night. Track of war zones, adrenaline takes flight. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Rebels on my six, but my grip don't waver. Drafting wind sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fears compete. Rivals on my six, but my grit don't waver. Trapped in wind sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fears compete. Tires grip tight, flames dance on steel. Spins and skins twist, every moment surreal. Checker flag whispers, a siren's call. Only one metalhead lies above it all. Turbocharged fury on straights we fly. Nitrous things pumping, we touch the sky. Back grandstands buzz, saying our name. Each lap we caught ignites the game's flame. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Wah!
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as each and every one of these drivers here this afternoon with the Metalheads Truck Series are ready to rock and roll here in the Johnny Johnson Motorsports 180 from Chicagoland Speedway for what will be another absolutely thrilling and exciting night of racing action here on Peacemaker Gaming as these NASCAR trucks get loaded into the sim. Each and every one of them looking for the win here today. And starting on the pole as they get lined up here on the front straightaway, it is that 0-1 of Rooster Rodin. Rodin will start in that top spot to his outside in the Stack Cup. Number 28, that is Nathan Somerville, who will start in position number 2. In the Johnny Johnson Motorsports QH Designs 00, that's the Sonic Graphic Designs machine of Nate Cogdell. To his outside in the Napa 133, that is Ashley Ellison Jr. starting in position number 4. Another Napa truck starting back in that 5th position it is Nick Gardner in the 27 ride. To his outside in the 196, that is Caleb Kleinard, starting there in position at number 6 on the racetrack. Back in 7th, his teammates. Right behind him here, 2 teammates back in position number 7 and 8. It is the 318 of Matthew Catania, the 51 of Tyler Stevenson there in that 8th position. Starting back in position number 9 on the inside of our 5th row is the number 5 of Matt Hayden. To his outside in the QH Designs Johnny Johnson Motorsports number 97, it is Colton Hardy. Starting in position number 11 in the 33, that is Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr. To his outside will be the 3 ride of Keith Prince, with the number 92 of Clinton Wood be starting back in position number 13. To his outside will be the 54, the QH Designs ride of Mr. David Trailer, as we do see Michael Newman, Jesse Calloway, John Herbert in his Sky Soldier, Ridge Power Sports 87 back in 17th with Kevin Winker, the Muehlberger Custom Homes number 42. They're in, I believe, the 18th position with Skylar Berry, Rusty Modesty, Bruce Bernard, Justin Lawson, and Rick LePage bringing up the rear of the field as we end all the anticipation with our feature presentation as 24 trucks take the green flag here this evening, each and every one of them hoping that they'll get a chance and opportunity to find victory lane here this evening. Actually, sorry, it is 23 trucks taking the green flag here this afternoon. So 23 drivers looking to duke it out here in this one for what is going to be a very, very exciting night of racing action here with the Johnny Johnson Motorsports 180. We already see one driver down through the infield right there. That was the 5 ride of Matt Hayden. Hayden goes for a ride, and unfortunately that slide will put him down through the infield grass. He's looking to rejoin the field as there is the caution flag. So we will see a yellow as there's more issues here. Looks like Winker's going to be able to check up. Jesse Calloway, we see the 20 of Lawson down through the grass there as well. So for Matt Hayden, great break there for the 5 ride as he was able to reel in the back of this pack, as he was going to be back behind the 8 ball rather quickly, especially if we saw this race continue to go clean and green. To the stage break is right here on corner exit. Contact there between him and the 27 of Nick Gardner. Let's take a look at it here and see if potentially Hayden kind of comes down, or if the 27 truck is just kind of washing up, and it does look like it is the 27 ride right there. Unfortunately, Gardner pushes up the racetrack on corner exit, gets into that left rear quarter panel of Matt Hayden, and it just knocks him loose, and all of a sudden he's pointing the wrong direction and has to go mow some grass here. Has to do a little landscaping here at Chicagoland Speedway as he goes down through the infield. He's going to make a few passes, a couple lines right there, and then he's going to rejoin the field. But as he does rejoin the pack, you see the action right in front of him. Unfortunately here for Lawson, he's just trying to get away from it, trying to keep himself out of it. He was far enough back, so it looks like it's going to start with that 4 of Jesse Calloway. So let's take a look here. Calloway following in behind Jimmy Fitzmaurice, and there's contact right there in front of him, and it looks like he's just trying to get checked up to avoid it, as there's contact between Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr. and the 87 ride of John Herbert right there. Herbert ends up getting into that left rear quarter panel, knocks the 33 sideways. Calloway's trying to avoid him, so he's locking it down, sliding down the track himself. Unfortunately, Skylar Berry couldn't get checked up quick enough. Hard contact into the side of that 4 ride, and oh man, Keith Prince gonna get in there as well. Oh, solid damage there for that Johnny Johnson Motorsports number 3 machine, as he ends up with some pretty solid damage, and everyone else just trying to figure out their way to get through it. And obviously we saw Justin Lawson going right down through the infield here, trying to make sure that he avoided any additional contact or getting tore up out there on the speedway. So we'll get them all figured out here. Everyone's going to probably come down pit row. At least a lot of these drivers heading down pit side already, making some different, fuel strategy calls. Even 3 laps into this race, as Mr. Fantastic in the chat says, let's go, Peacemaker. Let's go, Mr. Fantastic, coming in showing the love here this evening over there on YouTube. Harrison in the chat as well says, let's go, number 3, cheering on Keith Prince. Unfortunately, Prince did get some pretty solid damage there. Does look like he has gotten that truck for the most part repaired repaired. We'll see if he makes another trip down pit side to try to get any additional work done. But we saw our 10th place driver now, the 51 of Tyler Stevenson, pretty much led the back half of this field down pit road. So for Stevenson all the way back to our 23rd place driver, they all made their way down pit road to either get repairs or to try to take a swing at things with maybe making some changes to their race trucks or trying to get some extra fuel into the tank and looking for maybe a little bit of an advantage later on. So giving up some track position just to make that pit stop. Our top 9 drivers, they did not go down pit road, so that will set us up for a big restart right here as Rooster Ronning continues to hold the front of the field here. You'll get ready for the first restart now of the day as a quick caution flag here for these Metalhead truck drivers. Normally we don't see a ton of yellow flags here in this series, so that's going to be interesting as Harrison says he keeps getting bad luck early, but we can see a comeback. We can always see a comeback. I mean, Keith Prince, he's always sticking with it, man, as long as he didn't have to use that quick repair up, as long as that truck is still in one good piece, and he can kind of save that quick repair for later in this race. In case if he does run into another issue, same goes with Skylar Berry as Uwu Medic in the chat says, woohoo! Cheered on Barry. Unfortunately, Barry got a piece of that one. He has gotten some pretty good repairs, though, to that 46 ride. So for the Johnny Johnson Motorsports QH Designs 46, he's hoping that the truck is nicely fixed up, things are tightened up, and he's ready to go back to battle. As here we go, green flag back out into the air, down through the Geico restart zone for Rooster Ronning. Great launch, good restart here, hoping to clear that 28 ride. Nathan Somerville down into corner number 1, and it looks like he'll easily do that as he drives it deep down low on that inside groove. And now for all these drivers, again, trying to figure out ways to work their way to the front here. Some drivers may be a little bit harder on the throttle, maybe looking to try to gain everything they can, because track position could be one of those things that you do not want to lose. You do not want to give up here throughout a race like Chicagoland. So these guys are going to continue to keep on trying to make some moves, work on their things, and now we do see another caution flag come out. So cautions breeding cautions here early on in this race. Now, for sure, this one doesn't really give us a huge update on what potentially went wrong here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so Barry and Winker get tied together, and that's where we see that caution flag fly. So issues here for Winker Nation as a little 3 wide here in front of him. He shoots it down into 3, gets a great run, reels in close to the back bumper of this 4 ride, and I think as he sees the 4 Callaway come down, he looks to go the outside. Unfortunately, the 46 had kind of the same idea, just in reverse. He saw the 17 checking up on the outside lane. He tried to drive to the middle there to kind of split them. Winker was going for that same spot on the racetrack. They get tied together. Winker goes sideways and around. Hard contact there for the 46, the 42, and that 33 of Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr. is just met in the middle right there, is for certain. Hard racing, looking for the same place on the racetrack. Unfortunately, those holes and those gaps, they fill up rather quickly and can put you into a very, very tough position in an instant out there on the speedways. We do see a few more drivers heading down pit side. We see Matt Hayden back down pit road. Colton Hardy now coming down pit side. Modesty's down there. Here comes Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr. looking to get that truck repaired. Rick LePage, Barry's getting that damage dealt with again with Jesse Callaway, and Kevin Winker right back down into his pit stall here again. All those trucks, a little bit more repaired, a little bit more fuel into the tank as well. Some of those drivers thinking more ahead of the game here, and every one of these cautions is a free trip and a free opportunity to head down pit road, top up, and make sure that, maybe it works into your advantage later in this race, especially as we will have our one and only stage break at lap number 35, I do believe. I do believe it is lap 35. Let me double check it right here. There's the next race info. There it is. Yes, it is lap 35. So for each and every one of these drivers, they know that there will be another caution flag. they will have an opportunity to come down pit road, kind of make that first pit stop, or at least a pit stop to get some good fuel into their trucks before, that final stage of the day where we could see it stay clean and green. We tend to see, a few earlier caution flags. Later in this race, these guys seem to really clean it up, and that's where we can see these really, really long runs. Now, normally we don't have 2 caution flags in the first 8 laps, 7 laps of these races, but stranger things have happened, and that's why they call them accidents out there, because you just never know when they may happen. As Mr. Fantastic says, way too early for cautions. Take the training wheels off and let's go racing. Let's go racing. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Let's clean her up. Let's get some good laps in here. Let's get to that stage, and let's, I would rather almost see the late race caution flags, but I know for all these drivers, man, they take their strategy kind of so seriously. Some of these guys take some big, big swings to where, sometimes the strategies work out really nicely for them when it comes to fuel mileage or a tire game plan, and other times it kind of hurts them, especially when we do see those late race cautions. If there is somebody that's kind of holding out, has an extra setback behind pit wall, it puts them in a really good spot late in these races. So we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out. Obviously, early on, it's been a little bit chaotic. It's been a little bit of mayhem, and obviously now a couple early caution flags to kind of mix up the field here a little bit from our starting grid. Is Mandy Barry in the chat says, come on, 46 says, let's go, buddy, let's go, buddy. Cheering on Barry out there on the speedways. Here we go. Rooster Ronick, great restart once again. Quickly clears that 28 of Nathan Somerville. Somerville will fall back in line, and out for all these drivers. Obviously, a much shorter run here to the end of this stage, so they've only really ran probably about 2, maybe 3 laps of green flag racing over that first 9-lap period or so, so they really haven't ran a ton of hard laps already, and they've kind of clicked off, that 6, 7 laps under yellow flag, and that kind of works into their favor a little bit more, because that makes this stage that little bit shorter, means your tires will hold on for a little bit longer, so you may want to push a little bit more here early on. So that's exactly what we see out of a few of these drivers, especially out of that 92 rider, Clinton Woodby. Is Woodby trying to march his way up and through the field here, started back in 13th, and now he's all over the back bumper of our second place driver. They make contact there on corner exit. They both have to get checked up right there as Nathan Somerville almost went around. Luckily enough that the 92 of Woodby kind of rolled out of it there, killed his own momentum to avoid wrecking that 28 rider, else we may have saw another caution flag early in this race. And for Rooster Rod, and he'll say thank you very much, that gives him a little extra breathing room, keeps that 28 ride a little bit farther off his back bumper, but you do see Woodby pushing hard here. He's still rolling that inside lane. Unfortunately, just not a whole lot biting down there, and unfortunately tight down that bottom groove. Sometimes on corner exit, you just cannot get the exit that you're hoping for, and unfortunately for Clinton Woodby, he's finding it the hard way right now as those drivers kind of roll around his outside. Oh, look out, contact between Congdell and the 318. Matthew Catania. Catania almost going around right there. Great save down in corner number 2. It's the 0-0 watch up the racetrack. Made some contact there with them, as we do see a lot of tight racing out here on the speedway. Some drivers trying to navigate their way up to the front. Other drivers just trying to hang on and try to salvage a little something here on their tires throughout this first stint. I feel a lot of these guys are still kind of in that conservation mode where they're trying to save a little tire. This could be still a long green flag run. We see probably another 21 laps left to go here in this stage the next time by the start finish line. So if the tires start to become a factor, if we start to see these guys back in that pace up after 10-15 laps, the guys that may be a little bit more easy breezy here on these restarts, trying to save a little bit of those tires, may get a little bit back and a lot back here later in the run. So it may be smart to just gotta sit back and relax, as we do see the 28 rider Somerville makes the move to the outside. Looks like we are going to get our first new race leader here at Chicagoland Speedway, as Nathan Somerville will jump out in front. He'll take the top spot away from Rooster Rodden. Rooster will slide back into that third position as Caleb Kleiner works his way around him now. Here comes comes Ashley Ellison Jr. as well as Clinton Woodby and that 318 riders. Oh, look out. Caleb Kleiner pushes up the racetrack right there. These drivers are slipping and sliding out there on the racetrack as you got to wonder, is there more grip in this racetrack right now? With it being a little bit foggy, you can kind of tell here, just from, this camera angle, a few of the other camera angles, that it is fairly foggy here. So it's a bit overcast for these drivers, and that could really bring in, a whole lot of extra grip early on in this race. This will give you a great perspective of it right there. You can see the fogginess around the speedway. This is from our blimp up here, the Peacemaker blimp, giving us this great camera angle, but you can see how milky the screen looks. That is basically just fog out there on the racetrack. You can see it right here as well, off in the distance and everything else, so that may be adding maybe a little bit more moisture into the racing surface as well. Could make it a little bit more slippery, could make that traction a little bit tougher out there on the speedway, but as these guys continue to keep on rolling, the tires continue to keep on falling off, that fog could play a factor out there on the racetrack. Now, as we see it foggy up here from our camera angles, for the drivers, it's not too bad from their perspective. When you're in the cockpit, it does not look that bad. It looks, it's not too bad. It's pretty decent here. You see a little bit of the fogginess, but not a ton of it here when you're in that cockpit. Not enough that it's going to really affect you or anything else. You can kind of see the track nice and easy. You see clearly through these corners. So you don't have to worry as much about the fog from, a visual aspect if you're a driver. Now, for us up here in the booth, obviously it gets a little bit tougher because that fog definitely plays a factor with some of these camera angles and how far back they're set and everything else out there on the speedway. But for Nathan Somerville right now, he's sitting easy and breezy here at the front of the field. He's got himself a solid couple car length lead between him and that 196 of Caleb Kleiner, and Ashley Ellison Jr. right there in third as that 0-1 of Rooster Ronin moving up the racetrack now. Roll more of that middle outside lane in that fourth position as Matthew Catania and Clinton Woodby continue to battle door to door back in that fifth and sixth position. The 0-0 Nate Cogdell there in seventh with Nick Gardner, Michael Newman, and John Herbert rounding out the top 10 as Mr. Fantastic says they're racing now. They are racing now. This is what we love to see. We love to see this good, hard, racing action. We don't like to see pacing. We love to see racing, and that's exactly what we're getting now. Took them a couple restarts, a couple laps to kind of get things figured out, kind of get things a little bit more cool, calm, and collective out there. I mean, I say that, but these guys are still right on the edge of their seats. They're right tight together. They're still making some big moves out there on the racetrack. You take a look at one of them who went through the infield, he wasn't really a part of that first caution flag, but we saw him have contact with that 27 and Nick Gardner go through the infield on that opening lap and went from, starting up inside the top 10 to all of a sudden being at the back of the pack and has worked his way back up through some of this traffic and has found himself back up inside the top 10. So for Matt Hayden, he jumps back up into that 10th position. We'll see if he can gain any more spots out there on the racetrack as of right now. Everyone in front of him still has not made a pit stop here this evening. Now, that may make a difference when it comes to pit stops here, during our stage break. I don't know if any of these guys in front of them will have to make a green flag pit stop. If they do have to make a green flag pit stop, that could really hurt their chances, could set them back, could put them a lap down out there on the racetrack, as the stage comes to a close. So that could be a big question mark, but I feel everyone should be able to make it to the stage. But if they can't, then the drivers that are sitting back here behind, Matt Hayden, are all feeling pretty good. Everyone has came back down pit road behind Hayden in that 10th position. When you look at David Traylor, John Herbert, Tyler Stevenson, they were down pit road on lap number 3. When you look at some of these other drivers like Modesty, Barry, even Matt Hayden himself, they were down pit side on lap number 7. And it stays mixed up like that, but everyone from 10th back to 23rd has already gotten that extra little splash of gas that could make a big difference in trying to make it to the end of this stage. Now, for the drivers that did not come down pit road, those 2 caution flags may have been enough, that they may have been able to save enough fuel and kind of roll in cruise control there to be able to give themselves enough fuel to get to these end of the stage here this afternoon. So it may not matter in the track position, may have been more beneficial when you look at Somerville, Rooster Ron, and Caleb Kleiner, all these guys that have been able to kind of stay up here in the fight towards the front of the field, because they may be in line to receive some pretty decent stage points here in our one and only stage of the afternoon. So that could be a big break here for some of these drivers. Just having that extra little bit, those few laps under yellow, may have been that big deciding factor on whether or not they could have made it here in this stage or not. We have 10 laps left to go in stage number 1 this afternoon. So for all these cats that haven't came down pit road, obviously they're going to be looking at their fuel gauge. I think by the way that they're running and how hard they're racing, I don't feel like we're going to see any of them really run into any fuel issues. I don't think the pace is really, it's fallen off a ton, but I think that's more tires. These guys are still hard on the throttle. We don't hear them clutching it or are trying to run a little bit smoother through these corners to save that extra little bit of fuel, at least not here at the front of the field. So either they know they already have to make that pit stop before the stage, or they know that they're good to go here to the end of the stage. So for Somerville, Rooster Ron, and Caleb Kleiner, all these guys inside our top 5, slotted to get some pretty solid stage points as you see Matt Hayden trying to work his way through that traffic. And here comes that 54 rider, David Trailer. David, always one of those drivers that really seems to save a lot of tire, is really, really good at it, and makes a charge at the end of these runs and finds a ton of speed out of that 54 truck. And here he is navigating his way for the first time here this evening up inside the top 10 and trying to work his way up towards the top 5 before the end of this stage as he's coming on strong. And man, even with saving the tires for a lot of these drivers, man, the tire fall off is absolutely insane here. They've ran now 28 laps of racing action. Virtually, I would call that more about 23 with 6 laps of, yellow flags. So 22, 23 laps, and they've fallen off about a second and a half in lap time. So a second and a half with tire fall off over, a 20 to 25 lap run is a ton of tire wear out there on the speedway, and that could play a major factor for a lot of these drivers, especially if you're trying to play a little bit of that tire strategy or fuel strategy late in this race. If that is your game plan, when we look back at some of these drivers like Kevin Winker, Winker's one of those guys that tends to always gotta make some big moves, try to make some big splashes when it comes to kind of some of that, tire and fuel savings out there on the speedway. It may be a big deciding factor that the tire wear may just be too much, that it may not be worth it to stay out on the racetrack and try to save that extra, 5 laps or 4 laps, every single fuel strategy to try to give yourself that extra little bit, maybe save an extra pit stop late in this race to try to, get an advantage. Everything that you may gain from that one less pit stop, you may give right back out there on the racetrack, throughout, these green flag runs, and have the fresher tires back behind you chasing you down. So that could really play a big factor in a lot of these drivers and how they're going to handle this final stage of the day. But for right now, we got to settle out stage number 1 is down across the line. It looks like it is a tight draw right there. Give that lap length to Nathan Somerville, but Rooster Ronan trying to take it back away from him with only 4 laps left to go. The 0-1 marching his way back to the front of the pack, and you do see Caleb Kleiner, Clinton Woodby, Ashley Ellison Jr., our top 5 kind of breaking away from the rest of the field here as they got almost a second gap between themselves and our new 6th place driver, Matt Hayden. Nick Gardner back in 7th with Tyler Stevenson up and into 8th. David Trailer up and into 9th, there as Michael Newman in that 10th position, having a great run here this afternoon. Great to see Newman up inside the top 10, running really, really strong here towards the end of the stage as he's got Matthew Catania, Nate Cogdell right there behind him, Keith Prince there in 13th. There's that 42 rider, Kevin Winker, the Winker Nation, Muhleberger Custom Homes 42. Back in the 14th position with Skylar Berry in the QH Designs 46, rounding out our top 15. Rusty Modesty Justin Lawson, Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr., John Herbert back there in that Ridge Power Sports number 87. Colton Hardy and his beautiful QH Designs 97 rounding out the top 20. Jesse Calloway, Rick LePage, and Bruce Bernard rounding out our top 23 here on the Speedway. But out in front, they are still duking it out here for the top spot, and they got to be careful if they start rubbing and scrubbing. That 92 of Clinton Woodby's right there, ready to strike, ready to try to steal this stage win away, as this is the final lap of our one and only stage here this afternoon for all these drivers. It's going to come down to this one, man. Rooster Rodden, Nathan Somerville, door to door, down and out of corner number 2. They'll drag Grace back down the back straightaway. Rooster Rodden, unfortunately, did not get the run he was hoping for. Down and out of corner number 2. Here comes Woodby on the outside, looking for a big run down the front straightaway, but no one is going to get around the 28 of Nathan Somerville, and Somerville will pick up our first and only stage win of the afternoon. So Somerville picks up the stage win. Clinton Woodby will come home in second. Rooster Rodden settles for position number 3 with Caleb Kleinert, Ashley Ellison Jr., Matt Hayden, Tyler Stevenson, David Traylor, Nick Gardner, and it is the 318 of Matthew Catania who rounds out the top 10 here in stage number 1 this afternoon. Now, our competition caution flag is going to fly, so for all these drivers, now they'll get an opportunity. They'll probably all head down pit road. I don't think anyone's going to stay out here because the tire wear has just been so catastrophic that you can't even risk it staying out there on the racetrack. Even if you try to hope for a quick yellow flag, hope to maybe see one after 5-10 laps, stay on the lead lapping, kind of get a little bit of an advantage when it comes to the tire wear out there on the speedway. We've seen drivers kind of pull that trigger before. I don't think this is going to be one of those tracks. I think the tire wear has been too catastrophic that you just cannot take that risk. You're going to be losing, a second to 2 seconds every single lap when you're on those older tires compared to the new tires. So we're going to see probably everyone come down pit road, not only get fuel, but get tires here during this stage break. So these guys are going to shoot down pit road this time by as the pace truck will catch everyone up, and no one's a lap down. Everyone's still on the lead lap. Everyone's still in on the action. So that's a great break for a lot of these guys. For Bruce Bernard, we saw him a little bit more off the pace back there, deeper in the field. He'll rejoin the rear of the field. Same with Rick LePage. So they'll get another opportunity to kind of battle here and try to work themselves from, the back of the pack towards, maybe a good solid finish out there on the racetrack. There you go. Everyone heads down pit side. Everyone's going to make their pit stops. We'll see, what these drivers are going to do. What's the game plan here for each and every single one of them, as you do see our race leaders all hit their pit stalls, and there you go. You see them get jacked up. Tires are going on, and these guys are obviously going to maybe make a little bit of changes, trying to make sure the trucks are good to go, as you do see the 92 getting released. He's going to look for a big run off of pit road, and we'll have to wait and see where iRacing scores these guys. Tight run off of pit lane for Rooster Rod and Clinton Woodby, and even, I do believe, the 28 ride and Nathan Somerville. Somerville, though, slow, creeping back out there onto the racing surface. I'm not sure what may have went wrong for the 28. Maybe a quick little bathroom break here for him, maybe, as he just kind of rolls down low here and lets everyone else go by. This is an interesting one. I'm not sure what's going on with the 28 machine. We'll see if he gets back up there to the front, or if he's going to have to restart from the back of the pack. I'm not sure if there was a penalty, or if maybe he didn't put gas into the car or something. Maybe he's out of fuel right now, rolling back there. We do see Ashley Ellison Jr. also spending an extended period of time down pit road. Finally gets released. Here comes that for a Jesse Calloway as well. But for Nathan Somerville, after winning stage number 1, he is rolling. He's back out there on the racetrack. Is Shauna in the chat? How are you, Shauna? Shauna says, go Winker, hashtag Winker Nation. And here we go. All right, we see Nick Gardner head back down pit road, and Nathan Somerville also head down pit side. And for Nick Gardner, no, big mistake. One thing he could not do, especially during the yellow flag here, I could see if we were taking green flag pit stops, getting caught speeding down pit road, Nick Gardner ends up with a black flag. He is going to have to probably make a pass-through penalty after this restart. Unfortunately for Nick Garner, that is probably going to put him potentially a lap down out there on the speedway, but we did see Somerville have to make that additional pit stop. Now, we saw him get tires, but I'm not sure if he got fuel into that 28 ride, and maybe he had to make that additional pit stop to get topped up, make sure that this thing was good to go, and unfortunately will now join the back of the pack here for this restart. Man, that is a tough break for him. He's going to have to try to battle back from that one and hope not to get tore up in the process, trying to battle his way back through all this traffic as look at them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to green flag racing. Take a look at the 28. He's a little farther back there as here we go. Green flag back out into the air. Even for Somerville, man, that was a tough restart there as well. He's nowhere close to the back bumper of that 27 ride. Maybe he's just trying to think, hey, you know what? We could see another quick caution flag. I don't want to be put into that position, so I'm just going to try to hang on to it here, keep myself a little farther back and out of the way, and keep on rolling. But we'll see if he starts to build up that speed and trying to make some passes here. Is out in front, it's Rooster Rodden. Great restart, great run again off the green flag for that 0-1 ride. He's gotten pretty good at that. He's done a couple restarts already this afternoon, so he kind of knew exactly what he wanted to do, where he wanted to fire first, and where he wanted to use it to his advantage. And he's out in front. He's leading the way here once again, and he's going to look to try to keep that 92 at Clinton Woodby. Back there behind him is Caleb Kleiner there in third. David Traylor up and into fourth, and Matthew Catania now rounding out our top five. Tyler Stevenson back in sixth with Rusty Modesty, Michael Newman, Justin Lawson, and now Keith Prince rounding out our top 10. But here comes that 0-0 of Nate Gongdale. Gongdale's looking to try to race his way up and inside the top 10 here early on in this run. But for a lot of these drivers, man, it's gotta be a little nerve-wracking times here. You saw how massive the tire wear was during that first stage. You kind of got a great glimpse of it. You really got to see how much tire wear took effect there throughout that first stage, that first run, even with a couple caution flags and 5, 6, 7 caution laps there. We still saw roughly a second and a half to almost 2 seconds a tire fall off out there on the speedway over what was kind of about 29, 28 lap run. So for all these drivers, you get a great perspective, you get a great idea of what your tires are going to look like here if you do kind of break this race into kind of 30 lap increments here to our checker flag, being a 120 lap feature event. These guys, they got the calculators rolling, they know how many tires they got back behind pit wall, when they need to use them, when they want to use them, and how not to abuse them out there on the racetrack. And for a lot of these guys, that's going to be the big struggle here throughout this race, especially if we see it stay clean and green. It's going to be just being a little bit more on defense, not as much on offense here off of the get-go, as we do see Rooster Rodden still out front, but Clinton Woodby right there with him. David Traylor back there in third. Caleb Kleinert does fall back into fourth as he now has his CCR Esports teammate to his back bumper. That is Matthew Catania, who it looks like he may pull over and let Rooster Rodden go by. Rooster's going to roll right to his outside, and here comes that Sinclair Dino Care number 6 machine as Modesty jumps up and into that 5th position, but looks like Catania is going to try to put up at least a little bit of a fight there with him. Maybe not too much of a fight, as you do see the 6 complete that pass for 5th. Catania will fall back into that 6th spot as here comes Michael Newman up and into 7th. Keith Prince there in 8th. Nate Congdale back in 9th with Justin Lawson running out our top 10. Great gang of cars right here as you see John Herbert, Matt Hayden, Tyler Stevenson, Skylar Berry, Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr. all right there. You can throw a blanket over those 5-6 drivers. They battle for a couple positions just inside of our top 10 and just outside our top 10 out there on the racetrack. Nathan Somerville, who was our stage 1 winner, he's kind of back here still. He's trying to make up ground now. He restarted back in 23rd. He is now up and into the 16th position, so he has gained quite a bit of track position back out there on the racetrack. That is a great break there for him. Obviously for Ashley Ellison Jr., he's back here now as well, so he's going to be looking to try to drive his way to the front. He's got his the 28 right in front of him that they can kind of work with and kind of follow through and use him maybe as a little bit of a buffer car to kind of bounce his way around these guys and kind of take advantage of Somerville trying to race his way back up to the front. You see Nick Garner back there as well, the Napa Auto Parts number 27 truck. Man, So close to celebrating there at Daytona. I thought we were going to see our boy Nick Garner here celebrate with that 9 team of Chase Elliott at Daytona International Speedway. Nick is, he's the rear end specialist for Chase Elliott in the 9 Napa Auto Parts team. He was down there at Daytona, man. They were so close. They took the lead down and out of corner number 2 as they were kind of racking back down through 1 and 2. I thought there was going to be a caution flag. Normally, NASCAR throws that yellow flag. I feel like 9 out of 10 times at least they've thrown that caution. The race goes to Chase Elliott, but unfortunately, this time they let him race it back to the line, and he makes a couple moves, tries to hold off Tyler Reddick, ends up getting wrecked there at the line himself, but doesn't get the Daytona 500. Huge shout out to Tyler Reddick for winning yesterday's Daytona 500. Huge shout out there to the 2311 team, and for Mr. Reddick picking up his first Daytona 500 victory. And we're super happy to see the NASCAR series back in action, man. It wasn't a long off season, but man, it seems like it gets longer and longer every year. We gotta, obviously we get to fill it in here with some iRacing, but it's not quite the same to be able to see, our favorite drivers and everything else, and all those amazing competitors in the Cup Series, in the what is it now, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and obviously the Craftsman Truck Series. Duke it out, on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, man. It's always so much fun getting the race season back underway, and that means we're only a few months away from going back to dirt track racing as well. Now, I know down in Florida they got some dirt track racing going on already. Up here in Canada, though, we are definitely a few months away from heading back to the dirt track. But for all these drivers, they're looking to continue to duke it out here at Chicagoland Speedway this afternoon. And for the 92 of Clinton Woodby, he takes the race lead here. Woodby now jumps out in front for that 0-1 of Rooster On. We kind of saw that off of the first stage as well. We saw him kind of fall back here after probably about, 10 laps or so of being at the front of the pack, maybe even that 15 laps. In that first stage, kind of fell back here a little bit. Seemed like he kind of just waited patiently, maybe saved a little bit of tire throughout the middle portion of the run, and then all of a sudden there later on he picked up that pace, drove his way up to the front of the field here, and put the pressure back on to that 28 of Somerville for that stage win. Unfortunately had to settle for second in the stage, but we'll have to wait and see if that kind of plays out the same way for that 0-1 ride, if he's kind of got things on lock here when it comes to the tire management. But for right now, our top 7 have split away from the rest of the field. That's Michael Newman back in that 7th position, looking strong out there on the speedway, as Mr. Fantastic says, all hail the Prince, says let's go number 3, cheering on Keith Prince out there on the speedway. Maddox says let's go Hardy, cheering on Colton Hardy out there on the racetrack here this afternoon. Unfortunately for Colton, I'm not sure if this has just been a bit of a tire strategy game plan for the 97, but he's been definitely a lot more off the pace than a lot of these other drivers. So I'm not sure if he's just saving a ton out here or if he's struggling here at Chicagoland, because he's been back here pretty deep in the field throughout this race, and you haven't really seen him making big moves or pushing his way towards the front. So for Colton Hardy, you gotta wonder if maybe strategy already coming into play here for that 97 truck. Maybe he's just trying to bide his time. Maybe he didn't take a set of tires during that first pit stop or that stage break there, so maybe that may work into his favor. Maybe having an extra set late in this race may be the difference maker, especially if we start to see some late race cautions start to fly out there on the racetrack. But for each and every one of these drivers, they do have 4 sets of tires in the pits, so they all used 1 set at least there after that first stage came to an end. So I feel everyone is down a set here. There may be a few drivers that kind of took that gamble and didn't take any tires during that stage break, but I feel like everybody did. It seems like lap times are still very close in comparison here. No one has really fallen off detrimentally here. No one's really fallen too far back. Now we do see obviously drivers like Colton Hardy, like Bruce Bernard, even Rick LePage and Kevin Winker, who's even farther back here. Winker has been, Winker may be the only driver that may have took no tires during that stage. I don't know. I mean, you can already hear him turning this truck off and coasting through these corners. Now, the only thing is that he's giving up so much time here to our race leaders that anything that he may save, anything that he may gain from doing this may set him too far back that it's not going to make a difference. These guys may be able to make enough time and catch back up to Winker, put him a lap down, and even, roll farther enough away from him that if they do have to make an additional pit stop compared to Kevin Winker, that they could come down pit road and still potentially be in front of him or be just behind him, but with, 20, 30 lap better tires, may be a huge difference maker late in this race. And for the 42 truck, he's been really off the pace here. He's been running, half a second to a second slower than everyone in front of him here, and they are catching up to him in a quick hurry. Right now, he's about 17 and a half seconds behind Clinton Woodby. There's Woodby headed down and across the line, clicking off lap number 58 out there on the racetrack. Winker is just down through 3 and 4, so he's virtually about half a lap down out there on the speedway. And we went back to green flag racing only 20 laps ago or so, something like that, when we go back green flag racing, lap number 39, lap 40-ish area. So really, it's been 18, 20 laps or so that, Winker's been kind of on this game plan and losing that much time. Man, this is going to be... It's going to be a bold strategy. It's going to be a big strategy out of the 42. I'm not sure if it'll play out for him, but I know Winker is always one of those drivers that likes to kind of play that wild card role, that always likes to try to take those gambles and see if it'll play out for him. As nice and easy down across the line for Winker. He'll start his 60th lap of this race. For our race leaders, they'll head down through corner number 3, and nice and easy out of corner number 4. They'll head back down and through the front straightaway and across the line. We'll complete lap number 60. So 60 laps completed. 60 laps left to go here this evening, and now we do see one driver headed down pit road. It's the 5 rider Matt Hayden. All right, so Matt Hayden comes down pit road here. This is a whole different strategy for the 5 ride. Matt Hayden coming down pit road this early. Now it does look like maybe he had a little bit of damage on that 5 machine that they were able to get repaired here. That may have been the deciding factor to come down pit road, but I don't think it is. I think we're going to start to see more and more drivers start to head down pit side. Here comes Caleb Kleiner. Here comes Ashley Ellison Jr. They head down pit road, and now that we start to see some of these green flag pit stops, one thing you cannot do is get caught speeding down pit side. You do not want to give yourself a pit road speeding penalty and virtually take yourself out of contention here this evening. So for a lot of these drivers, man, it's going to be really, really interesting as we do see Caleb Kleinert. Oh, no, this is a big mistake for Kleinert. Looks like he went too far in his pit stall. You do see tires going on to the 133. Looks like Kleinert does get tires as well, but here we go. You watch Ashley Ellison Jr. right here. He's just going to slide through his box too far. He's got to throw it into neutral, throw it into reverse, back it up into his pit stall. That second or two, man, that is a lot of time down pit road that could really set him farther and farther back here to where it may not even make a difference on making that earlier pit stop. He may be able to, get back to where he was, but he'll be, a little bit more behind the ball after the rest of these drivers. So a tough break there for the 133 ride, but for Clinton Woodby, Catania, David Trailer, all these drivers here at the front of the field, everyone's still rolling out there on the racetrack. What does the strategy look like for these guys? Obviously, we just saw those 3 drivers come down pit road just after our midway point of this race. How does this play out for them? How does this work into their favor to give them a golden opportunity throughout this race? Now, for Caleb Kleinert, he's able to get out in front of Matt Hayden. Hayden will be back behind him here. So Hayden wasn't able to run long enough to leapfrog the 196, but that is going to be the strategy here for Kleinert, for Hayden, even for Ashley Ellison Jr. prior to that mistake, is going to be that they can run, 5, maybe 10 laps, maybe even 15 laps here with a lot lot better tire to really just try to drive forward, leapfrog a lot of these drivers that are in front of them, especially if they know that everyone else is still going to have to make one more additional pit stop here this evening. As now here we go, we do see Rooster running, and this is kind of how you got to combat it, and it could really start to open the floodgates if our race leaders start to see too many drivers head down pit road, making these green flag pit stops this early, that, you know what, it may force their hand that they have to head down pit road earlier. They can't wait much longer. They got to go down pit road and make this pit stop. So I think for a lot of these guys, they just know, hey, you know what, we're not going to make it on one pit stop here throughout this final stage. We got to come down pit road at least one more time. So I think they're splitting it up to 30 lap increments, maybe going a little bit farther for a couple of them to try to maybe make that final run a little bit easier on them. But we should see drivers like Matt Hayden, like Caleb Kleiner, the 133 of Ashley Elson Jr., if they're going to stick true to their strategy, we'll probably see them head back down pit road around lap number 90 out there on the racetrack. That'll split that final stage up into what would be virtually about a 22 to 23 lap run to a 30 lap run and a 30 lap run to finish off this race. And now here we go. Floodgates are going to open as here comes Keith Prince, and a big mistake for the 3 ride. Too fast entering pit road for Keith Prince in that Johnny Johnson Motorsports Sherwin-Williams number 3 machine. Oh man, this is a heartbreaker for Prince, and for all the Prince fans in the chat, this is a tough one, man. He was having a great run, great drive. That black flag, though, will hold him down pit road for at least a 30-second penalty. And that is going to set him back a ton here this afternoon. Here comes Justin Lawson. Going to roll back out there in front of him. He saw Nate Cogdell come down pit road with that number 3 machine. And obviously they're rolling back out onto the racetrack. And for Keith Prince, he's still here, sitting down pit side, serving that penalty. That is a heartbreaker for that 3 machine. He's going to need some caution flags after things cycle through to try to get a lucky dog or two, trying to get himself back onto the lead lap. As Medic in the chat says, come on, 46, says, woohoo, Barry, keep it going, she says, cheering on Skylar out there on the speedway. Harrison says, dang it. Mr. Fantastic says, oh no, he says. That's the first thing that came to my mind was, oh no, Keith, man, that's one thing that you gotta not do to give yourself a chance out there on the racetrack. Is Fletcher in the chat as well? What's good, Fletcher, coming in, showing the love, says W commentator. I appreciate that. As here we go, our race leader, Clinton Woodby, makes a hard left-hand turn, heads down pit side here at the completion of lap number 70. So they ran virtually a 30 lap to 31 laps or so there throughout that stage and head down pit side. So I think for David Traylor Jr., for Clinton Woodby, Jimmy Fitzmaurice Jr., who's going to join them, their teammate, even for Rick LePage here in that beautiful black Pocket 24 ride, they're probably all going to run to about lap 100, make their way back down pit side out there on the racetrack. So this is going to be kind of a whole different side of the pit strategies. Now here comes Catania, here comes Michael Newman, here comes Skylar Berry, John Herbert's also coming down pit road, Jesse Calloway's coming down pit road, and we got some bad news for Medic in the chat and for any of the other Barry fans in the stands. The 46 ride of Skylar Berry has been nabbed. Too fast entering pit road. Barry gets a black flag as well. That will be a penalty. That will be a hold down pit road. So for all the drivers that he came down pit road with, unfortunately, he will see them make their pit stop. He will see them roll away from him, and he'll have to sit down here on pit road for an extended period of time. As now here we go. We do see Rusty Modesty, Tyler Stevenson, Nathan Somerville. They're next up. They make their pit stops. But we do see Nick Gardner stay out here for a little bit while longer, and we got to look back at that 42. Kevin Winker, K-Dub, has been playing that strategy right from the restart. He's been off the throttle. He's been cruising out there on the racetrack. He's been saving right out of the restart here when we went back to Green Flag Racing after the stage break. Now, with Nick Gardner heading down pit side this time, it should put Winker to the race lead, but I'm not sure how much farther Winker can really go here. I'm not sure. He may be able to make it a couple laps here. I'm not sure if he'll be able to go, too far, but here we go. He is going to at least make it another lap, so Winker stays out. He will head down across the line, and as Nick Garner's down pit side, that will put K-Dub out in front. Now he's only got about 5 seconds or so in front of, between himself and Caleb Kleiner. Now the big thing is going to be for Winker is that running this much farther, I don't think he's going to be able to make it on fuel. I think he's still going to have to make 2 more pit stops throughout this race as well. I feel like he's probably a lap or 2 away from probably heading down pit road here. I don't think he can go much farther. Here it is. Here he comes down pit sign, but this kind of gives him maybe a little bit of an advantage, but I mean, he gave up so much time saving fuel to be able to pull this strategy that I don't know if it'll even work out for him. But the big thing is that he just ran virtually, 3-4 laps longer than majority of these other drivers, to where late in this race, if he can go that extra 4 laps or so farther again, maybe even a little bit more, all of a sudden it brings into that question mark that, everyone else comes down pit road. They may have, 6, 7, 8 laps, 10 laps, older tires onto their race cars before Winker has to make that final pit stop for himself. Hopefully he's still in the lead lap. Hopefully he's still in contention, but he could be at risk of potentially, being a lap down. As of right now, he is a lap down, but if he catches a caution flag, it could really help him out as he goes for a drift down through 3 and 4 on those cold tires there. That's going to cost him even more time right there. That's really going to set him back here, as Caleb Kleiner now out in front here, obviously on a lot older tires than some of these other drivers, as they came down pit side about 5-10 laps sooner than a lot of these other cats out there on the racetrack. They were able to use that to their advantage to leapfrog a lot of these other drivers, but for Caleb Kleiner, Matt Hayden, they sit 1 and 2 out there on the speedway. For Rooster Ronan, he came down pit road virtually 4 or 5 laps after they did. He is reeling into them in a quick hurry. 2 seconds back behind that 0-1 was our race leader at the time of those pit stops. Clinton Woodby, David Trailer rolled there in 4th and 5th, trying to hunt down our top 3 out there on the speedway. Matthew Catania rolls there in that 6th position. Unfortunately for Nate Cogdell, he made that little bit earlier of a pit stop coming down pit road on lap 67. He has already kind of fallen back into 7th here, and for a lot of these drivers, those new tires are going to catch up to you in a quick hurry. They're going to make some big moves, and they could, it could work out into your favor. We'll have to wait and see really how far these guys can go, because you got to wonder what their strategy is going to look like. They got to be coming down pit road again towards lap number 90. Maybe go a little bit farther, but I don't think they will, because they want to have as much time with those fresh tires compared to the drivers that will be on the older tires, out there on the racetrack, and they want to use those new tires to their advantage. But you can kind of see already, even just after 10 laps with those fresher tires, when you look at Clinton Woodby, he's already reeled back into Matt Hayden. So I don't know, man. I don't think that strategy is going to work out for him. It's worth a try. It's worth a shot here to maybe get a couple extra spots out there on the racetrack to maybe give yourself a little bit better of a finish here this afternoon. If you're Rooster Rodden or Caleb Kleiner, maybe it works out that much better for you. But it took less than 10 laps on new tires for Clinton Woodby to reel back in to Matt Hayden. So everything that Hayden was able to leapfrog and gain there, he's going to give back right here. He's just got to hope that over these next 10 laps he can stay as close as he can to, obviously Clinton Woodby, David Trailer, and the rest of these guys, if he's going to continue off this strategy and see if it works out for him, as Rooster Ronan does jump back out in front, but neither Rooster or Caleb Kleiner will really have much of a fighting chance here, as Clinton Woodby will roll right on around him. Same with David Trailer, who's going to be right there in a quick hurry. Matthew Catania there as well. He'll be right into the hunt here at the front, as he's going to roll around the 17 and that 5 ride of Matt Hayden. Hayden falls back into position number 6. So it's going to be really interesting. There's a couple different strategies playing out here, as Laura Stacy says, go number 5, cheering on the 5 ride here in this one, as Medic says, get up there 97, you got this, cheering on that 97 machine out there on the speedway. Unfortunately for Colton, it's been a bit of an off night for Colton Hardy. Now, I'm not sure if it was just fuel strategy, tire strategy, what the game plan may have been for the 97 truck, but he's been really, not on the A game that we normally see out of this 97 machine. I'm not sure if he's just struggling here at Chicagoland or if he's just biding his time, has something up his sleeve here for late in this race. But we do see Modesty make an additional trip down pit road, and unfortunately, I'm not sure. This seems like it was a late decision. Head down pit side. Modesty heads quickly down pit road, and unfortunately see that he comes down pit side at a rapid pace. He ends up with a black flag here, and for a driver that was inside of our top 10, Modesty is going to go probably at least a lap down here. This is an odd timing too, as he came down pit road on lap number 82. Gonna get that black flag. I don't think he can make it on fuel coming down pit side on lap number 82 and virtually having 38 laps left to run out there on the speedway. So I'm not sure if something went wrong or something happened here. Nonetheless, the Sinclair Dyno Care ride pulls off the racetrack and down pit side. So great move there by him. If something or an emergency happened, that he still was able to stick with it and get the truck off the racetrack without bringing out a caution flag. So we do thank him for that, but hopefully everything is a-okay. Hopefully it was just a mistake out there on the racetrack or something. Hopefully nothing, no emergency or something going on there for the Sinclair Dyno Care ride of Mr. Rusty Modesty here this afternoon. But I do know for his teammates, they're out in front. We do see Clinton Woodby, David Traylor sitting 1 and 2 out there on the racetrack. And for Clinton Woodby, he's going to look to try to hold off that number 54 at David Traylor Jr. here. But the laps are closing down in a quick hurry. He's back down across the line. They'll click off lap number 85. And I feel we're not too far away from starting to see some of those earlier drivers head back down pit side. When you look at Rooster Rod and Caleb Kleiner and Matt Hayden, they're probably, 5 to 10 laps away from starting to work their way down pit road. And I think everyone else is going to be right there with them probably in the next, 15 laps or so to head down pit side. So before we start to see more and more of these green flag pit stops, we're going to jump into a quick Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor, hit the like button on the stream for us right now, jump into the comment section, let us know who you're cheering for, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. Alrighty, a slew of drivers have been up and down pit road. They've been making their final pit stops of the day. We're still waiting on a few of them to finally make their way down pit road, including our race leader, David Trailer Jr. David staying out here a little bit longer compared to the 92 of Clinton Woodby, who we saw down pit road on lap number 93, and for the number 318 of Matthew Catania. We saw all three of them tight together there, battling for the race lead prior to them starting to come down pit road as our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up is going to come to a close. For all these drivers, the laps are clicking down though in a quick hurry, and your time to shine is quickly running out here. You got to make some moves. You got to hope that you get a good clean pit stop in and that your strategy works in your favor to try to put yourself up and into the best position possible here in the Johnny Johnson Motorsports 180 here at Chicagoland Speedway. As 20 laps left to go here in this one, we do see Tyler Stevenson head down pit road. He was racing his way up through the top 10, looking for a good finish here, and unfortunately for the bestrepair.net, number 51, he is going to receive a black flag. Too fast on pit road entry. 51 will earn himself a penalty here this evening, taking him out of the running here for a good finish. And joining him with the black flag down pit side is the number 87 of John Herbert. So Herbert and Tyler Stevenson both will stay down pit side here for an extended period of time as David Trailer continues to roll out in front here. Obviously, David's going a little bit farther here than I thought he would. I figured he'd be down pit side a lap or two ago. You can kind of already see the fresh tires and how quickly they can just roll right on around the older tires as David Trailer was last down pit side about 31 laps, almost 32 laps ago, and now you're going to see him finally head down pit road. But you already saw the 318 ride get around him. We saw, obviously, the 92 of Clinton Woodby get around him, but now the big question mark will be, obviously, you got to get clean down pit side. Doesn't look like any pit road entry issues here for David Trailer Jr., but for the 54 machine, more than likely, he's going to end up quite a ways behind Clinton Woodby and Matthew Catania. By the time he gets out of pit road, up the speed here, you know, he was rolling out there for quite a while. What is that? He was down pit side on lap 102. That is virtually 9 laps longer on the racetrack on older tires compared to Clinton Woodby, and I do believe that is 6 laps more, six laps farther than what Matthew Catania rolled out there. So for David Trailer Jr., he's going to roll back out here. He is going to be a ways away behind them, but obviously with that little bit of an extra tire percentage here, maybe he'll have enough time to track them down. And now you do see Kevin Winker. Winker still yet to make his final pit stop. He's going to look to go quite a little bit farther here, as well as the number 28 of Nathan Somerville. They're on a little bit of a strategy to kind of run this out, hope to see a caution flag. And if they were to see a caution flag right now, would be a great break for them, as Michael Newman does head down pit side. Because if they get a caution flag here, I think this is what Winker was really playing for and really hoping for, is that a caution flag could come out. There would be a lot of drivers that could potentially right now be trapped a lap down, him not being one of them, and still having the fresh tires down pit side waiting for him that he could use to his advantage to try to work his way into a good finish here this afternoon. Without this late race caution flag, I think for Winker, it's going to be a tough finish for him here this afternoon, as we do see Nathan Somerville finally work his way down pit road. Now that's going to start putting more and more drivers back on the lead lap. When you look at Ashley Ellison Jr. and Colton Hardy, Jesse Calloway, they're now all back onto the lead lap. And for Clinton Woodby, he will reconsume the race lead. So Woodby now out in front, has this top spot. Now for Winker, he desperately needs this caution flag. I think in the next probably 2 to 3 laps, he needs this yellow flag. If we don't get that caution, then Winker's game plan, his strategy kind of goes out the window. If it falls at the right time, man, it could really work out for that 42 machine. But man, these guys have been going so long now. Things have been spread out. Things are kind of running smoothly. I don't feel like we're going to see probably that caution flag get displayed here, and the strategy may not work out here for K-Dub this afternoon. It was a valiant effort, but we'll have to wait and see if that strategy pays off for him. Man, we almost saw that caution flag, though. Barry rolling back out on the racetrack right there. My gosh, he almost went right back out onto the speedway and into our race leader's lap right there. That was a close call. Obviously for our race leader, Clinton Woodby, but close call there for the 46 of Skylar Berry as well. As Clinton Woodby, though, has the race lead. He's out in front. Now, the big difference is that the driver that's chasing him down, that 318 of Matthew Catania, has 3 lap better tires. And that is a huge difference maker here at Chicagoland Speedway. We've talked about tires throughout this race, and honestly, that could be, 2 or 3 tenths faster than that 92 ride, where it's only going to take him, another, 2, 3, 4 laps maybe to catch to the back bumper of that 92 ride, and then he's going to have to try to figure out a way to get around him. That's where Clinton Woodby is really going to have to push hard, is not only, allowing the 318 to catch back up to him, but trying to hold him off here for what could be the final, 8 laps, 9 laps, 10 laps of this feature event. He's going to have his hands full trying to keep him back there at bay. Caleb Kleinert, who rolls back in that 3rd position, obviously came down pit road a whole lot sooner. He's going to wash up the racetrack right into the lap there of the 54 at David Trailer. David, though, he's got some of the freshest tires out there on the racetrack, and he is going to roll right on around that 196 ride. Unfortunately for Caleb Kleinert, his earlier pit stop strategy, I'm not sure it's going to work out in his favor here this evening, as we will see, obviously, David getting around him. There goes Rooster Rodham back around him. We will see, potentially even Matt Hayden. Hayden does have a couple lap older tires than Caleb Kleinert, so I think they're kind of both in the same boat here, right out of their strategy call back on lap number 60, making that earlier pit stop. They've kind of made their bet, and they're going to have to sit in it. They just got to hope that they can hang on long enough that their 6-second gap will keep Justin Lawson and Nate Cogdell, Michael Newman, Nathan Somerville, all these guys that have a little bit better tire than them back behind them late in this race. And, man, what a run for Michael Newman, man. This is a heck of a performance out of this 12 truck. He came here, and he is not messing around. He has, some of the freshest tires out there on the racetrack between him, David Trailer, and Nathan Somerville. Right now, they have some fresh tires. Obviously, for the 42, Kevin Winker as well, but Winker, obviously, now a lap down here. He's got fresh tires, but it's not really going to matter. He gave up too much time out there on the racetrack trying to save and earn those extra couple laps to kind of pull that strategy off. Not going to work out in his favor here this evening. He may be able to gain a couple more spots here late in this race, but as of right now, scored back in that 17th position. As David Trailer, though, he is going to be playing catch-up here. He stayed out there a lot longer than Clinton Woodby and Matthew Catania, and it may work into their favor for either one of them, as they're going to duke it out here at the front of the field. You do see the fresher tires on the 46, and just pull out in front, get the lap back there for Skylar Berry. Unfortunately, he has still scored at least 1 lap down out there on the racetrack. And for the 46, not going to make a huge difference right there. But for Clinton Woodby, it's only 8 laps left to go. He's still got a few truck lengths here between himself and Matthew Catania. Catania's kind of balanced out here. Hasn't really been drawn in as closely as I think he wanted to that 92 truck. And I think maybe even just some of the lap traffic that's on newer tires maybe playing a bit of a factor in it, that, he's having a little bit rougher of a time trying to, time things right, time these runs right, and reel in to that 92 ride. And he's quickly running out of time to not only catch back to his rear bumper, but to be able to make a move and try to get around that 92. Now, for the 318, we've seen Matthew Catania play a little bit of, a little bit of strategy, maybe try to just sit back, relax, kind of hang on a little bit out there on the racetrack. Maybe he knows that, hey, you know what, I got the better tires. I'm just going to wait for my time to strike here. Maybe I'll let Clinton maybe burn an extra lap or 2 off his tires before potentially he goes after him here late in this race. So he may be just kind of waiting a little bit here, just lurking in the weeds, waiting for his time to strike. And unfortunately for David Trailer, I'm not sure if his strategy is going to play out, man. He's still 5.5 seconds back of Clinton Woodby, about 4.5 seconds back of Matthew Catania, with now about to be 5 laps left to go here in this race. He's got to make up a lot of time here in a quick hurry. In the last few laps around, he's only been gaining about 3 tenths to 4 tenths a lap. So really, they are not making any headway at hunting down that 92 and 318 machine. And I think for the strategy for David Trailer, just staying out too long, did not work out for him, as Mr. Fantastic says. Looks like a two-man show unless we get a late race caution. Yeah, definitely looking that way. As Medic says, you can catch up, Colton. Keep at it. Keep at it. Hardy sitting back right now at about the 14th position. Unfortunately, does have quite a bit older tires than some of the drivers here in front of them, so it's going to be tough sledding to try to reel them in or to gain some late race positions. But there's a few drivers that are trying to race their way forward, one of those being this number 12 rider, Michael Newman, who sits in position number 7 on the racetrack, and he has virtually about 13, 14, 15 lap better tires than Matt Hayden and Caleb Kleinert, so he may be able to work his way inside of the top 5 here this evening. Man, what a run that would be for that number 12 ride. But for the number 92 of Clinton Woodby, it's 3 laps left to go. He still has about 9/10 of a second between himself and Matthew Catania. So I think for Catania, he waited 3 laps, came down pit road, put those tires on to see if that would work into his favor, give him a few extra laps here, not allow Clinton Woodby to pull too far away from him. Unfortunately, I think all that time that he tried to make up, that he tried to track this 92 ride down, it may have burned up more tire than what I think he thought, and obviously now he's just kind of stalled out here. He got to about 6/10 of a second behind the 92 and hasn't been able to roll any farther closer, and for Clinton Woodby, things may have just worked out perfectly into his hands, and obviously having a strong truck here this afternoon. Only a couple laps left to go here, and Chicagoland Speedway is Woodby looking for another checkered flag here on the season, as that beautiful 92 heads down through 3, nice and easy out of corner number 4, and it doesn't look like any late race caution flags to mix things up here in this one, as the white flag has been displayed for Clinton Woodby. Just over a second between himself and Catania. He's on cruise control here in this final lap, as David Traylor, unfortunately, still too far back there in position number 4. Rooster Rodden there in third. Rooster Rodden's in 4th. Caleb Kleiner trying to hang on to that 5th position, but here comes that number 12 of Michael Newman trying to make some moves here. That may have been enough right there. That bit of a block into the 5 ride may help him out, but nonetheless, here comes Woodby off of corner number 4 and across the line. It's Clinton Woodby who picks up the checkered flag here in the Johnny Johnson Motorsports 180 from Chicagoland Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Clinton Woodby. Woodby gets it done and picks up the checkered flag, as he'll get a little wave there, and congratulations from one of his competitors, the 318 of Catania, who will settle for second. Here comes that Johnny Johnson Motorsports QH Designs number 54, David Traylor, to congratulate that 92 of Clinton Woodby. Man, what a run, what a drive, what a performance here for all these drivers. Started off a little bit rough, but boy, oh boy, did things turn out pretty good in this, the second half, man. I mean, obviously, first, 8 laps, we saw 2 caution flags, and then after that, we were pretty much clean and green. The only other yellow flag we saw after the first 10 laps of this race was for our stage break. So, it took them, a couple restarts to kind of get their, truck settled in, to get the nerves down for some of these drivers, and all of a sudden, they go pretty much clean and green for the last 110 laps of this feature event, as some great racing. And Mr. Fantastic says, started off rough, but at the end, some pretty good racing. Yeah, some pretty good racing out there. As Megan White in the chat says, come on, 92, and says, there you go, cheering on that 92 machine. As, he definitely had it in the bag, that is for certain. He was able to hang on to and put himself up and into victory lane, and now gets to celebrate here at Chicagoland Speedway, man. What a run, what a drive, what a performance there for Clinton Woodby, as we'll get ready to pull him in the rest of our top 3 up and into the booth for their post-race interview. So don't go anywhere, because you guys do not want to miss to see what these drivers have to say and what they're feeling after a hard-fought race here at Chicagoland Speedway. So as we get ready to pull them in, If you guys haven't already and you guys enjoyed the racing action and the performance here this afternoon, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today. Turn those bell notifications on. That way you never miss it when we go green flag racing here on Peacemaker Gaming. And honestly, make sure you hit the like button. Drop a couple comments in the chat here and cheer these drivers on as we get ready to pull our race winner. Clinton Woodby up here into the booth as soon as he slides into the booth here. Let's see if we can kind of move him up a little bit. All right, there he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Clinton Woodby. Hey, Clinton, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Take a copy.
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Clinton, man, what a run, what a drive for you here this afternoon as honestly a little bit of strategy. Tires were a big key to success here this afternoon. Fuel mileage really wasn't too much of a problem or an issue out there on the speedway, and it came down to these final pit stops, these green flag pit stops, and you're able to hit pit road at the right time to put yourself up here into victory lane, man. Take us back through it and what's going through your mind here as we get to celebrate again here in the Metalheads Truck Series.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to be up here again. I didn't really expect this, as usual. I feel like anytime I win a race, I wasn't really expecting to even compete most of the time. I thought Somerville and Rooster were kind of going to run away with it. I couldn't put a qualifying lap down or nothing. But once they pit early, I think our second to last stop, they pit early, and I ran, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 laps, a little bit longer than they did just to run my fuel out. And once I came out, I realized how much of a gap they had. So I kind of made my last pit call on whenever they pit because I knew they were probably going to be coming in quicker than most people. So I wasn't going to go much further than they did. And I think once Rooster and Caleb called their last pit out, I think I maybe went 2 more laps. So that was pretty much what got me out in the lead and stayed out in the lead there at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Catania kind of follow in behind you after a couple laps there. I thought for certain he was going to continue to track you down and give you a run for your money there late in the race, but I think just even those couple laps, it seemed like you were able to pull far enough ahead of him that as he tried to make that track position back up, he kind of burned any of that extra tire that he had, making that later pit stop where once he kind of got to within, that half a second, 6/10 of a second, just seemed like his truck stalled out and could not draw in any closer to you. And then late in this race, he just continued to pull farther and farther away from him here late in this race. And obviously, David Trailer staying out even longer there just did not give him enough time to try to chase you guys down here late in this race.
Yeah, once I seen him coming out of the pits and I went by him, I was hoping he wouldn't have enough time, but at the same time, I had no clue how much faster, how much time he was going to be making up on those last 20 or so laps, however many laps we had left when he came out. But I noticed Catania, he was like 2.5, 3 seconds behind. And then once he got to about a second, I said, okay, I'm just going to have to go rip the top again and hope that momentum is my friend. And because the whole last run, I spent more time on the bottom than I did the whole race just to try to save some tire. But it seemed after about half the fuel run, the tires kind of didn't really matter what you did to them beforehand. You just had to figure out where they locked currently. So whenever I was running the top, if I went down to the bottom afterwards, I was really loose versus running the bottom and then moving up. So if I was on the top early in the run, I just kind of stayed there because I was terrified to go back to the bottom.
Well, whatever you were doing, man, it worked perfectly here this afternoon because you were able to pull back away from Catania and kind of take it easy and breezy through those final, 5-10 laps as he wasn't catching you any longer. He was falling farther back behind you, and you're just, kind of on cruise control, hitting your marks, not making any mistakes, not opening the door for him to draw back to your rear bumper here, and you're able to bring it back into victory lane. Your Chicagoland Speedway brother, who would you like to thank for such a great run and great performance out there on the Speedway?
Yeah, shout out to my girlfriend Megan and Blair Peterson, the winning bid diecast. Go get everything NASCAR related from him. Now my teammates Matt, Rusty, Jimmy's wife. Who else do we have in there now? I think Andrew jumped in for a little bit. And you for the broadcast and everybody for putting this on.
Absolutely, brother. Always my pleasure, Clinton. As a great run, great drive for you here tonight, man. Congratulations on the checkered flag here in the Johnny Johnson Motorsports 180 from Chicagoland Speedway. And we can't wait to see you guys back in action again next Monday night and see if we can get this 92 right back up here into victory lane.
Yep, we'll try it.
Beauty, enjoy the rest of your night and don't party too hard down there in victory lane.
We'll try not to.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there to the 92 ride as Clinton Woodby comes home with the dub here in Chicago as we'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher, the 318 of Matthew Catania. Hey, Matthew, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Matthew, man, heck of a run, heck of a drive for you here this afternoon. Obviously, trying to save tire was the name of the game here throughout this race, and obviously a couple early caution flags made that first stage kind of decent for everybody as you were able to kind of keep your foot in the throttle. We see you work your way up there and right into the mix during that first stage, and then all of a sudden, we stayed clean and green after a couple early caution flags. After that stage, we don't see another yellow, and now it comes all down to when you want to come down pit road. And we saw you kind of making a couple of different, off-strategy pit stops compared to Clinton Woodby and David Trailer, and it seemed like it was working into your favor there after, that middle portion pit stop back on lap 71 for yourself. And then, obviously, we see Woodby come back down pit road only about 23 laps later. Back on lap 93, you add a couple more laps, and all of a sudden, you're trying to play catch-up, trying to chase him down, hoping that, what you did, in that previous pit stop would work here, and unfortunately, it just seemed like that 3 laps was a little too much because everything that you may have had extra seemed to be kind of burned away by the time you kind of rolled back up to him and gained, back kind of 2.5 seconds there. And all of a sudden, it just seemed like your truck stalled out in those closing laps and could not reel in that 92 machine. And you had to end up settling here for the second place run. Brother, take us back through what's going to go through your mind.
Yeah, I did not feel comfortable coming into this one, not gonna lie. I mean, I've always been kind of good here, but practice and qualifying, I feel like I was struggling a little bit. Kind of a weird top 5 to start off, but I mean, we were all pretty competitive up front. I didn't know exactly if we were going to make it to the stage on fuel, so I was trying to save those cautions kind of saved us, I feel like. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of bitter about this one. I uh I was catching him so much there at the end, and then after I pitted there at the last stop, and it just stalled out. I couldn't do anything. It's like I got within half a second to a second, and I just couldn't turn. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just trying to make it, man. I didn't think he was gonna pit that early, that last stop. Um, I don't know, man. I was just trying to ride this one out. I didn't think I was gonna get second, really. I'm gonna be honest. I thought I was maybe back of the top 10 at best. Um, but yeah, a lot of green flag laps there, man. I don't even remember half of it. It's just
Yeah,
I was in a trance.
yeah, definitely a lot of good green flag laps there. We love to see that. Love to see these races and the strategies kind of play out and not be, changed or the outcome kind of be a lot different with one of those late race caution flags. We always like to see how these things kind of play out for you guys and what the strategy calls are. And obviously, you made your call coming down pit road there. 3 laps after Clinton Woodby, you're chasing him down. You get so close to him, and then as he said, he just stalled out there and had to settle for second. But back behind you, another driver you were battling for the race lead with prior to these green flag pit stops stayed out even longer than you did. I thought for certain, he was going to be zooming, catching up to you guys in a quick hurry, but it seemed like he was just too far back by the time he ended up making that pit stop that he was never able to make that time back up. And that's David Trailer back there behind you. Obviously, if a timely caution flag would have fell, would have worked out nicely for him, but obviously no late race yellows, and he just did not have enough time. He worked himself back up to third, but still, virtually what, 3, almost 4 seconds behind you, almost 5 seconds behind Clinton Woodby here this afternoon.
Yeah, I was just talking to David there a little bit. He said he tried to take two and definitely wasn't the move there for him. Yeah, I don't know. I was just trying to survive this one. I mean, the way the beginning was going with all those cautions, I really didn't think it was going to go green the rest of the way, and kind of just had to keep adjusting the strategy the best I could. Like I said, I was not expecting Woodby to come down as early as he did. I was expecting maybe a couple more laps like when I pitted, but I stuck with my strategy and tried to make it work and just came up a little short. I feel like I hit a bubble. Just I hit a bubble there at the end where I got within a second, and then the lap traffic was coming up. They had fresh tires, and it kind of made things difficult dumping dirty air on the left front there. And yeah, I thought for sure I had him. I mean, I was after I pitted, I think I was catching him by 3-4 tenths a lap, consistently for 10 laps, and I closed in a 3 second gap, I think. So I mean, either way, I'm happy with it. I feel like I could have gotten it maybe, but I didn't come in with the high hopes of this one, honestly.
Absolutely. Well, hey, you ended up with a very solid top three performance as you come home in that second position. Great points day here at the end of it here at Chicagoland Speedway for yourself as you get another, top two, top three performance on the season and trying to help you out in the points battle here. Obviously, with David Trailer and Woodby right there around you, the points are tight, and obviously, having those guys around you each and every single week, it's hard to gain or to lose really more points out there on the racetrack. But here tonight, another good, solid performance, another solid run, and being consistent here week after week after week for yourself, man, it's got to feel pretty good. And who would you like to thank for obviously this consistency and the great runs that we've seen so far this season of the 318?
It definitely does feel good to have some consistent runs finally. And yeah, I wish the points battle wasn't as tight as it was with us finishing top three all the time. Uh, but yeah, I'd like to thank my team. Honestly, I would be lost without them, I feel like. And yeah, Ashley, Caleb, Nick, and Tyler, we all work together and try to get faster every week and bounce strategies off of each other. I'd like to thank you for broadcasting and Nick for putting this league on and my girlfriend for letting me do this every week.
Absolutely. Well, Matthew, heck of a run. Great drive here at Chicagoland Speedway, man. We can't wait to see you guys back in action next Monday night and hopefully see you right back up here in the broadcast booth.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for our second place finisher, Matthew Catania. As Catania comes home in position number 2, let's pull in our third place finisher, David Trailer. Hey, David, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Hey, Aaron, I got you.
David, man, solid run, solid drive for you here this afternoon. Obviously, not the best qualifying effort for yourself, but you're able to gain that back through, obviously, some of the tire strategy there, some of those, early caution flags, and end up having a pretty solid first stage out there on the speedway. But then it comes down to this final long green flag run. Again, another race where we see a couple early caution flags, and then we stay clean and green basically after that stage break, and it kind of gives you guys that opportunity to make some of these different strategy calls. And it seems like, for both you and Catania, making a little bit later of a pit stop than Clinton would be ended up being the wrong strategy call here late in this race, as all of a sudden, he's able to just be far enough out in front that neither of you guys had enough time to track him down and catch back up to the 92 to duke it out with him here late in this race for the win.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I'm pretty sure I just didn't have the speed to flat out really beat a whole lot of cars here. It was big, basically just getting clean air race. So I wanted to get out front as quick as I could, but not blow the right front off. And never really could get there. It was very momentum based, it was very tough to drive. And there, yeah, we split the last stage into three separate runs, and I knew I wanted to try something. Like I said, I didn't feel like I had the speed to just beat people, so Stayed out late. Decided I was going to take two. The truck was pretty tight all night, so I wanted to take two tires, maybe free it up a little bit, and I ended up taking too much fuel, which slowed my stop down an extra couple seconds, and then for some reason today taking two tires just made the truck even tighter. I didn't have the speed coming out. I couldn't. I just didn't have what I thought I was gonna have. Taking two tires, and then by then it was too late. I would have needed another 10 or 15 laps to maybe catch them, and then I don't know if I could have passed them. So just missed the strategy tonight. You can't win them all. It's hard to complain about a third, but I think overall for what I felt like I had, I think maybe a fifth place car. So a P3 is pretty good. I'll take it. But yeah, just missed the speed, missed the strategy tonight.
Absolutely, but hey, at the end of the day, still works out nicely for you. Another podium, another top 3 performance, a good points day here at Chicagoland Speedway for that 54 team as you park it up here on the podium. David, who'd you like to thank for another great run and strong performance out there on the racetrack?
Yeah, of course. Big thank you to the main sponsors on the truck: Johnny Johnson Motorsports, QH Design, CCR Esports, Duck Donuts, Admin Box, Blair at the Winning Bid. They're all huge parts in making this league go around, and I like to be able to represent as many of them as I can. Big thank you to you for putting the broadcast on. Like going back and watching these, this will be a fun one to watch, and not have to sit here behind the wheel. That was pretty tough, like I said. Big thank you to the rest of the field. I know we had our little kind of scuffle there at the beginning. Kind of we were getting some caution to start the race, like you said. But thank you to them for showing up. Week in and week out. We're getting late in the season. This is about the time guys stop showing up. So big thank you to everybody for sticking it out with us. These races like this are tough. It's long green flag runs. So a big thank you to the guys that do show up week in and week out. I really appreciate you, and the rest of the admins do. And obviously thank you to the admins, Nate, Skyler, and Colton. I'm just the guy that pushes the button to make the caution come out, but they're the real ones making the show happen here. So a big thank you to them. And then thanks to my dad watching at home and my wife for letting me do this.
Absolutely. Well, David, great run, great try for you here tonight, man. We can't wait to see you guys back in action again next Monday, and hopefully get you right back up here into the broadcast booth post-race and maybe back up and into victory lane for yourself.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Aaron.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You as well.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, David Trailers. David comes home in position number 3 here this evening. Still great run, great drive there, but you find that really interesting that the drivers that came home second and third, they both didn't really think that they would be up there. They kind of thought, that they were, a little bit slower than what they were. So either their strategy played out enough that they were able to gain those few spots, or they were just, maybe a little better than they thought they were going to be. I don't know, man. It seemed to work out for them being able to jump up onto the podium here this afternoon. I'm sure there's a few drivers back there behind them that would have loved to stolen their spots. And one of those being, man, great run. A huge shout out here to Michael Newman. Michael Newman, I think this is probably the best finish we may have seen outside of a super speedway for Michael here, not only in this truck series, but some of the other series as well. So huge shout out there to that 12 ride. Michael Newman, great 6th place run. And honestly, if we had another lap or two, I think he would have been top 5 here this afternoon, man. He was way faster than Caleb Kleiner to Matt Hayden. He had, 13, 14 lap better tires than they did, so he was absolutely zooming around the racetrack. And I think there at corner number 2, we did get a look at it as Hayden kind of slid up just in front of him, killed a little bit of his speed momentum down the back straightaway. I think he may have needed that to be able to try and steal that 5th position away from Caleb Kleiner, but nonetheless, heck of a run, heck of a performance there for Michael Newman with the 6th place run. Just wanted to shout him out there. That was a great drive for that 12 machine, and super happy to see him up there beating and banging, battling, getting these good finishes here in the series. But for all these drivers, man, heck of a show, heck of a race. We had a couple bumps and bruises along the way with a couple early caution flags, but hey, you know what? Those happen, man. And you know what? A lot of times we see these races, when they start out with some cautions, they tend to be filled with cautions, but these guys, they righted the ship. They got pointed back in the right direction, and all of a sudden they just started to click these laps off, man, and run the rest of these laps after those 2 early yellows. Nothing but clean and green racing, except for our stage break there, man. So heck of hats off to each and every one of these drivers, man, putting together another great race and another great show for all of us fans in the stands watching and cheering them on here this afternoon. And a huge shout out to all of you guys, all the fans in the stands, tuning in, showing the love, enjoying the great racing action here this evening. Huge shout out to each and every single one of you. Everyone that's came in with the likes, any comments, any shares, anyone that came in and became a new member of the Peacemaker family by hitting that subscribe button. We did see at least Sean Bernard Sr. come in, hit that subscribe button earlier as well. Shout out there to John. Shout out to anyone else that came in and became a new member of the Peacemaker family here today as we continue our growth to 2,000 subscribers over here on YouTube. And obviously we're not live anymore, but we still do post and do things over on Twitch and Facebook as well. So make sure you guys go check us out there at Peacemaker Gaming as well. They're on Twitch and on Facebook as well. And unfortunately, though, that's going to do it for us here at the Johnny Johnson Motorsports 180 here this afternoon from Chicagoland Speedway. Man, we can't thank you guys enough for tuning in and showing the love, and we'll see you guys all back here in the next one, man. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love.